So there's a lot of people out there that might tell you that you can get to a certain amount of money in 30 days. You can make $10,000, for example, in the next 14 days, whatever it is. Maybe you've seen some case studies on YouTube of people that have helped someone to do it, but no one actually tells you the step-by-step process, or at least the fundamentals and the sort of philosophy on how making this much money this quickly is actually possible. But that's exactly what I'm going to do in today's video, because I've done it myself, I've helped people to do it myself, and I've seen it done quite a few times now. And the people who followed this philosophy and the people who follow the traditional philosophy of being a bit slow and trying to focus on the whole business as a whole rather than just focusing on making money and bringing in sales, there's a huge difference there in the kind of success that people have. And maybe one day that those guys will go and make the kind of money that they want to. If you're looking for something where you make a lot of money relatively quickly, then this is the philosophy that you need to have. So if you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Ben Lister. I help agency owners to save thousands and thousands of hours by sometimes even doing their outreach for them, so they can start to work on the agency rather than working in the agency. So the first thing you need to do is have a 100% focus on outreach and sales. There is no point right now in focusing on anything other than these two things, mainly because this is how you make your money. Now, there will be people out there that say, what about service delivery? I can't sell a service that I don't know how to actually complete, and I can't sell a service, for example, and say that I'm going to promise big things and then not actually be able to deliver on those. And that would be correct. And the system that I have and I recommend for a lot of people is if you are just starting out and you're working within a specific niche, let's say, for example, you are working with gyms, you don't need to be an expert on gyms. You don't need to be an expert on marketing in order to sell those services, because a lot of times when you onboard a client, this can be 1 week, 2 week, even further of an onboarding period. And this is where you have the chance to really look into and copy a lot of the service delivery that is currently out there. Because there's many marketing agencies, whether this is for gyms, whether this is for home improvement, whether this is for real estate, whatever it may be. And there's a lot of agencies that are successful at doing this, and all of their adverts, all of their marketing is very, very public. Either people do share what they do because they want to just reveal their secrets and talk to their potential clients about how good they are, and obviously people will have a lot of confidence at that point that they can do certain things. Or if you just simply go to their ads, which you can find on, Facebook ad library or even some YouTube ad library or anything like that, and you can go through their ads, you can sign up and you can see what kind of things, what kind of messages they are sending out, and you can just simply copy the ads and tweak it for your client. And this is a model that has worked for many, many different agencies, people that are just starting out, because when you start out, you don't need this perfect service delivery. It just needs to be at a point that is acceptable so that someone can renew and you can actually have some confidence to go and sign these clients. And copying this and sort of reverse engineering the service delivery is really the key to actually starting your first campaign. And this model only really works if you are going to work like hell when you sign your first client. So if you sign your first client and you think, I've now got a couple $1,000s, I can kind of relax here, or I can just focus on my next client or whatever it is, then that's completely wrong. The main thing here is that once you actually have this client in, is that you just go kind of a little bit crazy, because you also need to focus on outreach at the same time, but you need to focus on that service delivery and really dedicate such an extreme amount of your time to that. This is not about, spending 4 hours a day and making $10,000 a month in the next 30 days, whatever it is. This is really about dedicating your whole entire time to actually building this business so you can make such an extreme return in such a short amount of time. And this will really take it out of you. If you're not prepared to do this, if you're not prepared to really go above and beyond for your client, then this simply will not work. Now, a lot of people that would be starting an agency or looking to do this for the first time would have almost no sales experience. And this can be particularly tricky, either because you have lack of confidence, or maybe you're a little bit nervous when it comes to selling, or maybe you have someone on the phone. Maybe you just feel like a little bit of an imposter, like you shouldn't really be doing this. And the one way that I like to do this, especially when I was just starting out, and even when you have a lot of experience and you can actually sell to people and you know that you know what you're doing, you can work on a pay per performance basis or a pay per result basis. Whether this is you charge every time you generate an appointment, every time you generate a lead, every time that you generate them a client, so a commission base, for example, whatever it may be. If you have an offer that is a pay per performance, it's much easier to sell. You can have a lot of confidence because you're not asking for thousands and thousands of dollars up front. And what it does mean is that the person is going to be basically convinced or realize that unless this goes like really well, they're not going to be spending a lot of money. So they don't really care if it doesn't go too well, because they're not going to be losing that much money. Obviously, I would always recommend a small setup fee, at least a few $100s, if not $1,000, which can often be the biggest hurdle, especially if you don't have any case studies and you are transparent about that, which you probably should be. But this is going to make it much easier to sell, and that's the kind of result that we're looking for, and that's the kind of thing that we want when it comes to actually, trying to make this amount of money in such a short amount of time. And like I said, if you are telling your prospects, your clients, that this is the first time, you have no case studies, if you're completely honest about what you're doing and who you are, this is going to give you such a high level of transparency with your prospect. They will completely believe you at this point. You'll gain a lot of trust from them. And there's a really cool angle that you can take here, right? Because there's a lot of agencies, like for example, if you're in the gym space, there's some really big agencies out there that work with gyms, and they work with hundreds, if not thousands of gyms. And you can basically position your business in the sense that these guys don't care about you. They are going to be focusing on hundreds of thousands of clients, and you, for example, have just a handful of clients, if not no clients. And so when you sign that first client, if you become my client now, 100% of my time is going to be dedicated to you, and 100% of my time is worth way more than a group of 20 people who might give you 1% of theirs, or it might be shipped out to some virtual assistant across the other side of the world, or whatever it may be. But you can really go in on that position and say, this is the position that I'm in, but I'm going to be this kind of person. I'm going to be a multimillionaire in the future. I'm going to have a business that's going to do this, it's going to do that, it's going to do whatever it may be. And so if you come from this angle and you say, look, if you come on board with me, you're going to be the very first client of this huge company that's going to take years and years and years to grow, and I'm going to dedicate my absolute life to making sure that you get the results that you want. And if you phrase it in that way, especially for the cost that you probably are charging, your time is probably worth a lot more than that, to be honest. And so the person that is listening to you, if you have that conviction, if you have that confidence, they're going to know this is actually a pretty good deal for them. If they believe that you are, even remotely intelligent, you know what you're doing, you're driven, and the way that you talk in your sales call and the way that you present that to them, you probably give that indication. So it won't be the easiest sell in the world. I'm not going to say that every single person will buy off you, but it won't take many people for them to actually be convinced that this person has a fair chance, and it's worth giving them a shot. And one thing I see when I jump on my sales calls and I speak to agency owners all the time is that I spoke to a person, for example, just last week, and he was telling me that, now that it's January, he's going to be starting with the agency, he's going to start doing his outreach and stuff. And I say, okay, like when did you actually start to contemplate this? Like, when were you planning on doing this? And he said, back in December, this was when I was planning it out, and I did this and I did that. I built a website, we got a logo now, I planned out what kind of outreach I'm going to do. I have a cold call script, I've drafted some cold emails. And so I'm saying, okay, that was 4 or 5 weeks ago. You've done zero outreach, no sales. You haven't even spoken to a prospect. You haven't even picked up the phone yet. You've done almost nothing of productivity. When you are signing clients, you have someone on the phone, whatever it may be, booking appointments, all of those things that you've just done now, whether it's a website, whether it's a logo, whether it's a business plan, whether it's, a cold call script, none of that has actually contributed to getting someone on the phone. They probably won't see your website. They won't see your logo. They don't really care what your cold call script is. They've probably forgotten what you've already said now. And so all of these things that have happened over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and to be honest, you could have done a lot more in that time. I'm not saying that that's going to take up all of your time, and you can do that. There is a place for that. But to go all that time and to not actually just put the wheels into motion, at least pick up the phone and speak to one business owner, whether they say no, whether they say yes, whether they tell you to go away or whatever it may be, to just not even do that is, in my opinion, such a big waste of time. And not everyone wants to be super speedy in business. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the fastest person in the world and, it's a race to get to a certain amount of money. But if you are looking to make money quickly, which a lot of people are, people don't want to be sat for 6 months, 12 months making a short amount of money. This is the kind of mentality that you don't want to have. You don't want to be delaying things. The very first day that you start your agency, you want to pick up the phone and you want to speak to business owners and see what they have to say and make an offer to them. Whether this is an offer that is good, whether it's a cold call script that is good, whether you have a business name, a website, whatever it may be. If someone asks you if you have a website, for example, you just simply want to deflect them. And this again comes to your sales skills and your marketing skills. And so I would always recommend, if you are looking to start out and you are trying to make as much money as possible in such a short amount of time, the last thing that you want to focus on is those sort of externals, maybe these assets like a website, a logo, whatever it may be. But what you do want to focus on is getting people on the phone, closing deals, and making money. And that really is how you make $10,000 in such a short amount of time. By the way, if you are looking to sign clients, go ahead and click the first link in the description. We're not asking for your email, your phone number. We're not going to send you a lot of messages or anything like that. It's literally just a video of myself explaining how my company does this. You don't have to click it, of course, if you don't want to. That's completely cool. But if you did enjoy the video, go ahead and click the like button, comment if you want me to cover anything specifically, and subscribe if you're new around here. Appreciate you watching this one to the end. Cheers.